The rivalry between dogs and cats is nothing new, but in the world of Bluey, things are quite different. In this canine society, cats seem to have a place of their own. But why have we never seen a single kitten interacting with the Healer family or even working a job like a store clerk or a teacher? Just imagine how fun that would be. Society. In Bluey, dogs of all breeds live in the city. They have jobs, drive fancy cars like Uncle Stripe, go to school, and even watch movies with their families. But oddly enough, we've never seen an actual cat appear in the show, interacting with the dogs. However, there are plenty of hints throughout the episodes that confirm cats do exist in Bluey's world. We see them in animated drawings, toys, and even on the sign of the veterinary clinic. This raises the question, in Bluey's world, are dogs and cats not rivals? All of this makes us even more curious. Cats exist in this universe, but they don't interact on screen. That would be hilarious. Just imagine a cat selling fish to Bandit. The kind of jokes Bluey's dad would make about that are endless. Now, let's dive into how felines exist in Bluey's universe and how they've actually appeared in the series, maybe without you even noticing. So stick with us as we uncover more secrets from the amazing world of Bluey. Prehistoric times. You probably learned in school about how cavemen lived in a world full of harsh conditions. But what about the prehistoric dogs in Bluey's universe? How did they evolve into the modern society we see in the show today? Life in ancient times was very different from what we're used to, and in Bluey's world, it wouldn't have been any easier. After all, hunting was necessary for food. There were no supermarkets or shopping malls. And here comes a harsh and brutal truth. For prehistoric dogs to keep warm, they likely had to use the fur of other animals. But how did this play out in Bluey? While this topic has never been covered in its own episode, we can piece together some clues thanks to Bandit's job as an archaeologist. In the episode Trades, Chili hires 2 workers to build a fish pond in their backyard. Bluey and Bingo become little spies, closely observing the workers as they go about their tasks. During their mission, the sisters uncover some funny details about the workers, like the fact that one of them loves pie, while the other has some serious relationship issues. To keep an eye on the construction, Chili spends time working from home, specifically in Bandit's office, where we spot a huge clue on the wall. If you look closely, you can see a painting depicting the dawn of canine civilization. It features a prehistoric dog that looks slightly different from modern Bluey characters, carrying a lifeless cat over its shoulders. This makes us wonder, just like in the real world, were dogs and cats not exactly friends back then? And what changed over time? Appearances. Aside from this subtle historical reference in Bandit's office, we can see that the relationship between dogs and cats in Bluey has evolved. In fact, in the episode Onesies, Bingo dresses up as a leopard, suggesting that any past conflicts between dogs and felines have long since disappeared. This episode is absolutely hilarious because the little Healer sister really gets into character, chasing Bandit, Chili, Bluey, and even Aunt Brandy around the house, making them all scramble for cover. And it's not just Bingo who has a thing for cats. Bluey loves them too. She has several cat plushies in her collection. If you have a sibling, you probably know what it's like to argue over a favorite toy. The same thing happens with Bluey and Bingo. Both sisters wanted Gloria, a stuffed cat that Bluey received as a Christmas gift from Grandpa Bob, except Grandpa forgot that Bingo had already been born at the time. Hard to believe he could forget something like that, right? And speaking of favorites, in Bluey's universe, one of the most popular shows among kids is an animated series about 3 biker cats who fight against evil dogs. At first, this might not seem to make much sense, but in the world of Bluey, these felines are awesome. And if you stop to think about it, it's actually pretty funny. After all, a cartoon inside a cartoon? And if you thought only Bluey and Bingo were obsessed with the show, you'd be wrong. Muffin even has a tricycle themed after the biker cats, and it plays the show's theme song. Now that's a cool gift. Who wouldn't want an awesome present like that from their parents? And if you're also getting tired of Muffin's tantrums and bad habits, drop a comment below saying patience. I saw a kitten. With all this in mind, one big question arises. If kids in Bluey love cats so much, why don't they have any feline friends at school? There's a theory that suggests that, in Bluey's world, dogs are like humans. They live in a structured society and are the only ones with self-awareness. Even so, we can find signs that dogs and cats coexist peacefully. For example, kids in the show often have cat-themed toys, showing that felines are part of their world, even if they don't interact directly with them. In the episode Hospital, Bluey and Bingo invent a game where Bandit is sick because a cat mysteriously entered his belly overnight, and he needs surgery to remove it. This is one of the Healer family's most hilarious pretend play moments. But what does this actually mean? Why would a cat randomly invade a dog's body? Is it just a silly joke between them? Pure childhood imagination? Or could it be linked to the possibility that prehistoric dogs once hunted and ate cats? It's clear that things weren't always this way, but today, in Bluey's world, cats are treated as beloved pets. Though strangely enough, we've never seen any character actually owning one. Dogs and cats. With all these clues, another question arises. In Bluey's universe, do dogs and cats truly coexist? And if they do they live in separate neighborhoods or even separate cities? We can't forget about the prehistoric painting in Bandit's office. So, could it be that in this world, dogs still eat cats? If this theory is true, it might explain why the cat population has declined so much, leading to a drastic reduction in felines. Maybe that's why cats, despite living peacefully, prefer to stay far away from dogs. But, of course, none of this is confirmed. These are just subtle clues, scattered like puzzle pieces, ones we may never fully put together. Another possibility is that hunting cats was never about food. It was simply for sport. After all, chasing and hunting are natural canine instincts. That's a pretty brutal idea, but it's just how nature works. Still, there's no way Bluey would ever show something like that in the series, don't you agree? Enemies? If you're a Bluey superfan, you've probably noticed that some characters in the show serve in the Australian military. But that raises an interesting question. Who exactly are the dogs fighting? Of course, having an army doesn't necessarily mean a country is at war, but it's intriguing that the show gives special attention to this profession. According to a wild theory, around 4 million years ago, early dogs had to hunt cats in order to survive. As a result, felines were nearly driven to extinction. To prevent their total disappearance, the cats fought back, developing battle strategies and self-defense techniques to ensure their species' survival. That could explain why, even today, the canine civilization in Bluey needs a highly trained army to protect their territory. As bizarre as this theory sounds, it does make a lot of sense. It might even explain why no cat families live near the Healers. But if this theory is true, why do kids in Bluey watch a cartoon where the main characters are cats? That doesn't make sense if we assume the dogs and cats are enemies. The only possible explanation is that dogs no longer want to maintain this division. Maybe they've created cat-themed cartoons and toys as a way to bring both species closer together, teaching young dogs not to hunt cats so that in the future they can live in harmony. Even though this theory is well thought out, it's probably wrong, because there are actually a lot of clues in Bluey suggesting that cats are just pets for the dogs. And that's pretty interesting, considering both are animals. But before we dive into that, now is the perfect time for you to subscribe to the channel. Click that subscribe button so you never miss any of our videos about the most fun little blue dog in the world, pets. In the episode Copycat, Bluey decides to play in a different way with Bandit, eagerly waiting for him to wake up so she can start the game. Bandit, always ready for fun, joins in on her game and decides to take it up a notch, stretching, making goofy faces, and creating a hilarious moment for fans. Then, Bandit takes his silliness to the streets, walking in an exaggeratedly funny way. He bumps into Judo's mom and starts acting even weirder, just to get Bluey to copy him. But Bluey, being the clever pup she is, refuses to play along and lets her dad embarrass himself all on his own. That's when she suddenly spots an injured bird and immediately drops character. She calls for Bandit, who rushes over, and together they take the little injured creature to the vet. When they arrive at the clinic, there's an interesting detail. Outside the building, there's a sign showing the different types of pets they treat, and one of the icons is a cat. Does this mean that in Bluey's world, cats are only seen as pets? Throughout the series, we've seen that despite being animals with human-like consciousness, dogs in Bluey still have some behaviors typical of real-world canines, while also doing things that are completely different, like walking on two legs and even driving cars. One unusual case is Muffin's little sister, Socks. She initially behaved quite differently, walking on all fours, growling, and even biting other characters. This led some fans to wonder if she had a health condition that caused her to act more like a real dog. Over time, though, her behavior changed, and she adapted to life like the other dog characters. So, could the same thing have happened with the cats? Did they eventually decide to form their own separate community, living only among their own kind? If that's the case, could the Healer family ever get some new cat neighbors? If the relationship between cats and dogs was really bad, why do Bluey and her friends love pretending to be little felines during their games? And just imagine, what if Bluey and Bingo actually got a pet cat? Despite the seemingly friendly relationship between dogs and cats in Bluey, we've never actually seen a character own a pet cat, which is pretty strange, even for a cartoon. But who knows? Maybe in future seasons, we'll finally get to see a cat character living among the dogs. If you love Bluey's world, we've got 2 awesome videos you won't want to miss. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.